Peg, the season is over. I cannot believe it. We're going to have to win 3 road playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. That's going to be a tough one, Peg. I don't know if it could get much tougher or much worse for us.
I don't know, Pat. I imagine that Jets locker room after the game is a pretty tough situation, and their road ahead is looking pretty grim. So I guess it could get worse. We could be the Jets.
Coming to you from the great Southwest and Central New York, a brother and sister from the same mother and mister, Patrick Newell and Peg Newell, your hosts of Bill's Bloodline.
Yeah, I don't know who that was today. Was that the JV Jets or what?
The JV Jets. Yes, that was just ugly.
Welcome to Bill's Bloodline. I am Patrick Newell. Next to me is my sister, Peg Newell. We're the brother and sister from the same mother and mister. We are on Spotify. We are on Instagram. We are on Apple Podcasts, X, you name it, Facebook, we're on it. We'd love you if you could like, comment, and subscribe. We love the engagement, and we are quick to respond, Peg.
We're on all your socials and your favorite streaming services. Easiest way to find us is just search us up. But if you're looking for specific links, they'll be in the show notes. So, Pat, before we get into the game, what's the news of the week from Bills Land?
Before we get to that, the Bills are coming off a 35-8 victory, final game at Highmark Stadium. So leading into this week, we had a couple guys that were automatically ruled out for the game. I don't know how much was injury related, how much was it precaution, how much was it, okay, Joey Bosa could break a leg at any moment type of thing. Matt Milano, Jordan Poyer, Daquan Jones, they were all ruled out early on. And then we left out Deion Dawkins and a couple other players just because we need those guys for the playoffs. That was the big news. We also got Prater back, our kicker. No more Michael Badgley. Badgley was released right away. I don't know if they could have shown him the exit any quicker after last week's loss to the Eagles. So
Yeah.
yeah, Michael Badgley, maybe he has to come back because Prater, he got hurt today again.
Yeah. Prater with a quad injury. When I think of Badgley, I think, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And it took less than 24 hours, and he was booted. And now Prater, I'm worried about the quad. That's something that we can be, it's of serious concern today from today's game. And hopefully we can work out some kickers. And that's just something that we're going to have to solve that issue if we want to make a deep run in the playoffs. Without a kicker, we're in trouble.
Maybe you can get Ray Davis to kick extra points or Mitch Wisnowski. He did a good job kicking off today. I don't know if he could kick an extra point, but yeah, we're going to need a kicker. Peg, we tried out some kickers the week that the second week that Prater was out, Badgley's second week. One of those guys that you may have heard the name before, he's been a kicker for the Chargers and for the Falcons. His last name is Koo. I can't remember his first name. He's a Korean-born kicker. He's been a hot and cold guy. Apparently, he could not beat out Badgley that week, but he is out there still. And we had a couple other guys try out that I've never heard of. And someone's going to have to come to the forefront. It's slim pickings at this point of the year.
I heard that Steve Christie was at the stadium today. Maybe he can come out of retirement. Maybe Phillip Rivers can kick. Who knows? Can Rivers kick? Old man Rivers?
He can't throw the ball 50 yards. So I'm doubting he can kick 150. So given that he's old man Rivers, he might be good for a 20-yard extra point, the old school extra points. So
yeah.
I am concerned about the kicker situation because the Bills, there's always something. It's an injury. Linebackers down to our third string, Benford getting hurt. There's always something going into the playoffs, Peg. Something that could be our downfall.
Right. Right. But I think that it's it's go time. The stakes are really high. Josh Allen is going to go into playoff mode, and that we know that's beast mode. One player, Pat, do you expect? We saw him on the field today. He's been a healthy scratch several times. Keon Coleman was out there today. That's kind of newsworthy. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to see him suited up for the game next week. What do you think?
Well, I I was laughing. I was laughing. He caught the second pass. He was in the middle of the field. There was
Wide
no
open.
one within 15 yards. And when he caught the ball, tell me if he did not look confused, because he's never been that wide open. He caught the ball and was stunned for a second, then
Yeah.
turned around and started running
Yeah.
like, what is this open space? What is this? There's no defensive back draped over me. I'm actually wide open. So he ran and got a 30, I think it was about 32-yard or 33-yard play on that, which is amazing, but he looked
Yeah.
confused because he's not used to getting open and creating separation. And
No.
there was the parting of the Red Sea there. He was so wide open.
Yeah. I think it's something to think about if Shakir is at all dinged up and we want him to make it through the playoffs all the way. Maybe we have Keon suited up as an option for punt returns, but I'm not sure he'll be suited up next week. We'll see. Bills Mafia, we are a family. And do you know who else is a part of our family? Our pets. And we wouldn't want to leave their care to just anyone. That's why this week I am proud to say that this episode is brought to you by Compassionate Care Veterinary Hospital of Manlius, New York. Healthy pets through every stage of life. You can contact them at 315-508-7884 or CompassionateCareVeterinaryHospital.com. John Endres, his wife Connie, and the entire wonderful team at Compassionate Care Veterinary Hospital establish a relationship with you, and they provide excellence in veterinary care, forming a long-term partnership with their patients and their families. Just this past week, my family had to put to rest our golden retriever, Henry, and Dr. John Endres and his wife Connie so graciously met us on their day off to help us put him to rest. And I cannot say enough about their veterinary care, and I highly recommend them. If you're in the central New York area and you are looking for a veterinarian, please consider Compassionate Care Veterinary Hospital of Manlius, New York.
You are listening to Bill's Bloodline.
I'm going to make a prediction. The lineup for receivers, which has been, a revolving door. This is my prediction, Peg, and tell me what you think. Okay. If healthy. This is all, the caveat is that they are all healthy. Okay. Khalil Shakir, no doubt. Brandon Cooks, Gabe Davis, Joshua Palmer, Tyrell Shavers. And
Shavers.
if we need a punt returner, possibly Keon Coleman. But those
Okay.
5 plus possibly Coleman as the wild card. What do you think?
Okay. I like that. I think though it's got to be Davis or Coleman. And so it's, if we had, possibly the Coleman for that 6, but I would they're going to choose Gabe Davis over Coleman every day of the week. And so your initial 5 without Coleman, I think that more
in case
or
of
less.
injury, Coleman would be the first guy in.
Yes, exactly. And Davis had a great nab today. He had a great catch in the end zone where he just stole it. He has that ability. But then Coleman had that nice, toe tap for the 2-point conversion. And so that was really nice to see. Everybody wants this kid to succeed. But then again, I saw him run a few lazy routes. I saw him not get off the ball. He was still sort of trotting, and he leisurely turned up the field. And so he wasn't even running his hardest there. I don't know if the kid didn't know the snap count, if he's just being lazy, if he's just not, he just doesn't have it, the acuity, the mental acuity to play the game at this highest level. I'm not sure, but
Coleman tipped that play off that it was going to be a run just by the way he ran that motion across. And
Yep.
he ran to the same side I think Palmer was on, and
Yes.
he turned upfield like kind of half-heartedly or half
Right.
speed, and kind of jogged into open space. And it was, of course, a run up the middle, and they didn't pay any attention to Coleman or Palmer out there. So they say that you have to run every play exactly the same. That way they can't tell if it's a run or a pass. If you're running full speed, it doesn't tip anybody off, and that's a tip right there. That's a
Right,
cue
right.
to defense. Okay, he's going half-assed on that one, half speed.
Exactly.
So yeah, but at this point, it didn't matter.
No.
Jets
And
were.
that's akin to like an MLB, why I don't like certain players. I dislike them when there's a pop fly or like a slow grounder and they don't grind it out. They don't dig it out to first base. They just give up. And to me, that is just like benched. You're benched. If I'm a manager, you're benched. I don't care who you are. You grind it out. You run as fast as you can.
Great receivers, Jerry Rice, the old schoolers like that, the old school tight ends, they all ran really hard every route. They blocked really hard every running play. You never knew what the play was going to be. You never knew that if they were going to get the ball or they the primary receiver, the primary target. You never knew. So, that's one thing. It's a growing or learning lesson for Keon Coleman today.
No. Before we get into the game, we are going to do the 2-minute drill. This is a chance where Pat and I, in this case, Pat today, is going to get something off of his chest.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Bills are now the most consistent winning program in the NFL, coming on the heels of nearly 2 decades of futility. I guess that's the right word to use. We all get ticked off at Joe Brady calling repetitive, predictable plays, but that's just in the moment. We all get upset when Josh Allen runs backward 20 yards and takes a ridiculous sack. And we get irritated with McDermott with his decision making. But if you look at the full picture, we are in the mix every year. We have a chance every year, just like this year. We've won 10 games, 7 years in a row. No other team in the current NFL can say that. And you know what it looks like on the other side for the Jets? No hope.
Thinking about with the Highmark Stadium closing, the end of an era at the Ralph, the House of Pain. There's so many different names for it. We have been very, very lucky these last few years, this decade we've had, starting off with the McDermott era and Tyrod Taylor getting us into the playoffs, all up to these glorious golden years with Josh Allen. And of course, we want more. We want to get over the hump and win a Super Bowl. But I think what is the constant in all of this is that we have been in the mix and that Mafia is going strong. And there's this beautiful community where each week we bond. We may have political differences. We may have just differences in general about life, social issues. The one thing that brings us together is our love of the Buffalo Bills.
The Bills Mafia, you're not going to find a fan base with a bigger heart, really, and concern for the world. How many times has Bills Mafia stepped up for worthy causes for people's charities? Like Mark Andrews drops that pass last year. What happens? We donate hundreds of thousands of dollars to his charity. With Andy Dalton, after he, helped end our drought, we donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to his charity. And that's just 2 examples, Peg.
Right. For me, Pat, the Buffalo Bills will always be about family and specifically about my relationship with you. Growing up, we didn't have cable. If you listen to our earlier podcast, we didn't have cable, but we got, the dog ears, the antenna on the roof and the rotor. And we were able to get a Bills game. Sometimes it was fuzzy. Sometimes there were lines, but it was always about bonding with you, Pat, having a meal with our family. I'm sure Bills Mafia can relate to that. And as you know, we're a very spirited, competitive family, and it's no different with football. Whether we're playing Monopoly or all-time quarterback Pat in the backyard with me and our sister Kate, and we're up against each other. Football, the Bills, bonding and family. And it isn't always just about winning. It's about the experience. It's about the journey. And of course, we want that destination to be a little bit cliche, but the journey is so much more meaningful. And even our parents, they weren't die hard fans, but even tonight, Pat, Mom called me and she was so excited about the 35-8 win. Then she even said, even with the backups in, but she was still super excited. And so we have some Jags fans, so it's going to be a tough week for family for us next week. But that's what the Buffalo Bills have meant to me. And the Bills aren't going away; just the stadium is.
Yeah, if you want to know how competitive the Newell family is, just go on a cruise with us and join in the competitions. It's cutthroat.
Yes. Everybody knew us by name by the end of the last cruise.
Yeah, the cruise directors kind of know who we are because we're like any kind of event that's a competition. It doesn't matter what it is, we're there. So yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway,
Joshy Wawa, if you're out there listening, he broke a few ribs to win the belly flop
I know.
contest for
Yeah,
us.
he is wafer thin, and he bounced off the water. And I think the collective pain from everybody in the crowd, that he experienced, I think that him win that belly flop competition
Yeah,
because he
yeah,
beat some 300-pounders out there. So
he sure did. But
yeah,
we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Not that there's a lot of stuff today. We'll try to do a quick recap of the game and then get into a little high mark. And
yeah, I'll tell you my thoughts. I said
yeah,
Rich Trubisky. I looked this up. Had the second best game of his illustrious or not illustrious career.
yeah,
He had 4 touchdown passes. He completed 22 of 29, 259 yards, passer rating ridiculously high. And we, as a team, and I told you this before we went live, that this is the first game that we've had 200 plus rushing and 200 plus passing in the same game. The balance was outstanding. We outgained them by more than 3-1, 470 yards of offense with, primarily backups. Although if you look at Davis and you look at Ty Johnson, they are like 1B and C as far as like they're almost like starters. So it
hmm
wasn't really fair. And then our backup linemen were amazing. All 4 of our tight ends caught passes. Our 4th string tight end caught like 3 passes. Not a
yeah,
lot to.
yeah, yeah,
And Dawson Knox, he got a bonus with a touchdown. Ty Johnson got a bonus with a touchdown. Defense pitched a shutout until late in the game with primarily backups. Joe Andreessen and Dorian Williams, backup linebackers, led our team in tackles. What can you say when your backups play amazing?
right, right. And yeah, with 30 first downs, 30 first downs today. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I love seeing Knox get that bonus. He needed 7 yards and then a touchdown, walking out there with a nice $250,000. Ty Johnson got one of his bonuses, didn't get the other one, but one was a receiving bonus. He needed like 75 yards, but then he did get the 2 touchdowns, and that was so great. But Pat, this thing with Dawson Knox, we're on the hook for about $12 million in cap. If we re-sign him, is this Dawson Knox's last regular season game with the Buffalo Bills? What do you think?
You know what? There are 4 or 5 guys that are Buffalo Bills for life. Josh Allen's obviously one of them. Deion Dawkins is another, but Dawson Knox, he is Buffalo football. I know his salary is really high, but there's little ways around that I'm sure Brandon Beane will kind of tinker with. You can throw some void years out there, which means that you're basically deferring some salary and then it bumps your or lowers your annual salary down. They're going to do what they can to keep him. He's a free agent after this year, but I think Dawson Knox is back with us next year because
Yeah,
Dalton Kincaid is a receiving tight end, and Jackson Hawes is not the receiver of Dawson Knox. He's a great blocker, but he's not quite to that. So we need that blocking/receiving tight end. And only one guy does that. Hawes has caught a few passes, but he's not as pure a receiver. He didn't come out in the NFL as receiver. He came out
right.
as because he's a great blocker. Catches a few passes. He got one ball today, I think. One ball for
Yeah.
0 yards. So we need Dawson Knox back because he's Mr. Brightside, man.
Yeah, yeah, he is, and he's about 300 yards shy of breaking Pete Metzelar's record. And I, for one, would like to see him break that record and become the number one all-time yards in terms of yards for the Bills. Um, so with that, um, Pat, do you want to move into a little Highmark Stadium, farewell to Highmark?
Everybody knows this statistic because it's been repeated a million times, but the Bills' first regular season home game was against the New York Jets in 1973, September 30th. We didn't score a touchdown that game, but ended up getting a win 9-7. That's the year that OJ ran for 2,003 yards. Funny and interesting from that 73 season, Peg, a great year, by the way. The Bills started that season. We passed for less than 1,000 yards that year.
Wow. Wow.
All 14 games, we ran the ball for more yards than what we passed. I just thought that was an interesting tidbit. All
Yeah.
14. We had one or two games where we ran for over 300 yards in the game. So, we finished our last home game against the Jets, just like we started with the win. So it's kind of fitting to bookend those two things.
Oh, so now it's a very emotional game. There are so many former players in the stands. Steve Tasker was welling up in the broadcast booth. And I thought I would share just a couple of interesting facts about the Ralph. That's my favorite nickname. But the one thing that I hinted at last week was people think that the stadium is haunted. So maybe this is like good that we're getting a new stadium, and that the curse of losing 4 Super Bowls in a row and not, getting the big one is because of the Sheldon family plot, that the original architectural drawings had the Bills Stadium actually being constructed right over the family graveyard, right around the 50-yard line, which also is around gate 6 and 7. But they ended up relocating it. So now it's more like or less graveyard adjacent to the Sheldon plot, but still close enough to be a curse. And we know the stadium holds about 72,000 fans, and it is the only NFL stadium in New York State proper, not in Jersey. So they are New York's team. I really like the single tunnel. And you see that kind of, for better or for worse, even last week, the single tunnel from the locker rooms, the entry and the exit. It's about a 7-degree incline or decline to get to the field or to get to the locker rooms. And that can make for some pretty testy exchanges. But tonight it was really cool to watch the players going out and chatting and hugging one another and chatting it up with the Jets as well. And then today, will be the last one, just for the sake of time here, the red helmet era. I really love the red helmet era because that included those 4 Super Bowl trips, 1984 to 2010. And of course, I'm rocking the original standing charging bison. Pat's got the more updated logo. I also need to cover up my gray hairs, so this was perfect today. And last but not least, I think the Bills Stadium is not a kicker's dream location with the swirling winds and the unique wind patterns, making it really, really, really difficult with the field being 50 feet below ground level. And those are just a few of the interesting facts about Bill Stadium, the curse being one, and also the Coffee Rich Stadium, the non-dairy coffee creamer that I mentioned last week. Thank God we just went with Rich Stadium and not Coffee Rich.
Yeah, we have memories there, and I have a distinct memory sitting up in the 300 level, right? It's the 300 level that's like at the nosebleeds at the very, very top, extended. You were entirely exposed to the elements on a cold day. You're up near the top, and the field's a mile away, but you could still see everything. My memories of that are freezing my tush off that day. It was so cold. And that was not the 94 game against the Raiders. That was still, you just feel it in your bones with the metal seat, the metal bleacher seats that they've had at one point. I think the cheap seats for bleachers were like sitting on like a high school bench, but I'm gonna miss it when they start playing Mr. Brightside at the end, Peg. I was almost like Steve Tasker, a little bit of a tear almost formed there at the end. And I was just thinking about all the memories from the stadium and, the 52 years of the Bills in that stadium is your life.
Yes.
Entirely.
And
So your
yes,
entire
indeed.
life you've been at that stadium, and kind of marks, it's how I remember it, because that's the year you were born, and you were born so close to, when they started that stadium. And I guess I did indoctrinate you to some extent
You
Uh,
did.
yeah,
You
much
did.
of a choice because there weren't too many options on the TV due to the lack of reception from any networks.
Yes.
So hopefully,
Yes.
I know I've created a lot of sorrow in your life by bringing you into the Bills fandom,
Yeah.
but hopefully a lot more
My
joy
kids.
and your kids
Yeah, my
generationally.
kids, yes, and I'll probably pop in a photo here, maybe right now, of my son photoshopped breaking a table, and it's just that's what it's about. Brandon Bean, Sean McDermott, and our beloved Josh Allen, they're gonna go someday. The one thing that's gonna be the constant is gonna be our love of this organization, and so thank you and farewell to the Ralph. So, looking ahead, Pat.
Looking
We got the
ahead.
Jags. We got the Jags.
So my daughter Maya and Josh will have a little rivalry week. Josh being the Jags fan, and Maya, who has adopted the Bills. At least the last I knew, she was a Bills fan. So that will be fun. The Jags went 13-4 this year. They got a new coach. I think they're 4-13 or 5-12 last year. They completely turned it around. Great running game, great passing game, excellent defense. They turn teams over. They force turnovers. They force other teams into mistakes. They take advantage of those mistakes, and they've been a little bit of a thorn in our side. Aside from last year where we kind of routed them, but they beat us in England. They beat us in Urban Meyer's only year as a head coach, 9-6 that game. The other Josh Allen kind of had his way against our Josh Allen, and it's going to be a tough matchup for us. But like I said last week, I don't care who we play. We're capable of beating anybody on any given day on either side of either conference. If we're playing well and our defense plays reasonably well, I mean, if our offense plays well and our defense is at least average, we can beat anybody in the league. And I'm hoping Josh Allen goes on one of those runs, Peg.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I'm terrified of Trevor Lawrence because he finally has a good supporting cast around him. For a while, people were wondering, there were whispers, does he have it? Is he an NFL caliber quarterback? And he's proven that the last 2 years. And even today, he lit it up for 3 touchdowns. I think they're peaking at the right time. So hopefully we can get into that mode and make it a really competitive game.
Yeah, we don't know the playoff date and time yet. We might do a midweek quick podcast and have updated information. Something we don't normally do, Peg, but we may throw in a little podcast in the middle of the week. We'll have
Yeah,
the date and time. See if it could be Saturday or Sunday. Early or late game, we don't know, but we know it's at Jacksonville.
right, right. With that, Pat, any final words or thoughts?
No, I don't. It's 12-5 season. Like I said earlier, seven straight seasons with at least 10 wins. Another team in the NFL can say that double-digit wins. Playoffs 7 years in a row, 8 out of 9. The drought is firmly in the past, and we're heading to a new stadium next year. And let's get it done this year, the last year of original Highmark.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it any better, Pat. So thank you to all the memories at Bill's Stadium the last 52 years.
You are listening to Bill's Bloodline.
Yeah. So each week we pick out an organization or some sort of event that's coming up to shout out in our podcast, something that deserves an extra mention. And Peg has something she wants to shout out today.
Yeah. Bill's Mafia, we're family, and our pets are our family too. And so we want to make sure they have the best nutrition and toys and beds, and even prescriptions. And so this week I want to shout out Chewy.com. And there's a very personal reason why. I felt like they were truly family this week when I canceled my auto ship with tears in my eyes because my family had just put to rest our beloved golden retriever, Henry, 6 years young, and it was just heartbreaking. So I canceled the auto ship. I didn't know what to do with myself. The next day, the doorbell rings. We're sitting on the couch, not expecting anyone. And there was this man with this huge, beautiful bouquet of yellow roses. We opened the card and it was from Chewy offering condolences. And so pets are always going to be in our future, maybe not in our near future, but at some point, and we're always going to be loyal Chewy customers. when our hearts open up to love another animal again. Chewy has a 100% satisfaction guaranteed policy on every order. You can put in an order and it'll be on your doorstep the next day. I can't say enough about this company. And I really appreciate them reaching out after the death of our dear Henry. May he rest in peace.
This is our 11th podcast. Every subsequent podcast will depend on if the Bills keep the season going. So we're hoping we stay with you guys another 3 or 4 weeks well into February. So with that, from our family to the Bills Mafia family, stay loud, stay proud, and we'll see you here next week on Bills Bloodline.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.